It's Seth back with another Defense Wins Fantasy, part of the Fantasy Holics Podcast Network. We're through 10 weeks already in the NFL. So we're going to take a little look back at the first part of this year, top 5 after 10 in each position, breaking down also D-ends and D-tackles, cornerbacks from safeties. Give us a well-rounded situation and kind of start to look at some of these names that, hey, you know, it's not just a one-week wonder anymore. This is for real. We're going to start with the defensive ends. Number one on the list so far, and obviously the list will be a little bit based upon your scoring scenario. So just for context, if you want the exact scoring that I'm kind of looking at, you can go back to our scoring podcast way back from the offseason. But essentially it is a big-time, big play bonus. You get, you know, a lot of points for sacks, a lot of points for interceptions. Pass deflections a little bit higher for corners and safeties and that sort. But focus, you know, is mostly big points for sacks, tackles around 2.2 points, 1.1 point for 2.2 for solo, 1.1 for assisted, just so you kind of can get an understanding. But regardless, thereabouts, you know, we're going to be splitting hairs when we start talking about some of these guys that you might say, well, this guy should be here, this guy. We're just going off of the scoring that we have. And, of course, bye week kind of is in there, so it's just kind of gut feeling some of them where I'm like, it's because he's got an extra game. Point per game situation is a little bit better. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and start with the defensive ends. And number one on the list this year, finally coming into fruition, got paid a lot of money this offseason and has been kind of one of the lone bright spots for this team when it comes to fantasy, offensive or defensive. And that's Maxx Crosby for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's got 7 sacks on the season so far, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, but 37 solo tackles and 20 assisted coming from the D-end spot. That is a decent chunk of tackles at this point in the season. On top of that, you had 14 tackles for loss, 2 pass defense, getting those hands up, and 7 hurries, depending on how your scoring system works. Some of those, you know, you might not count as all, but the hurries and those type of things tell you that he's getting pressure even when he's not getting the sacks, so you can be aware of it. I thought he was going to have his breakout year this year. I'm kind of surprised that he's as high as he is. He's got the talent, but man, he has really put it together, and it's been consistent throughout the year so far. It's just really, really solid play, which is impressive even more so because his team has not been winning very much, like at all. So for him to be able to get the sacks and game scripts that really haven't been set up for him to be successful or passing down all the time, you know, late in the games when they have the lead and the other team's just trying to pass the ball, they're not having a lot of that. And he still has 7 sacks on the season. Quite impressive, and this is the guy that is coming into his own. It's dynasty-wise, you probably won't be able to trade for him at this point. You might have been able to before the season just because his fantasy stats at that point had not lined up with his production. But this year, it's full go. Next on the list is a guy that I also thought would have a kind of a bounce-back year. Been injured for a few years on a team that has had winning game scripts. And this is Danielle Hunter. 7 sacks, 30 solo tackles, 9 assisted, 11 tackles for loss, 2 pass defense, and 8 hurries. Once again, he's getting to the quarterback. He's getting the pressure. He's got 8 hurries outside of his sacks. He's in the backfield with tackles for loss. He's getting his hands up, and he's got 30 solo tackles coming again from the D-end spot. He's got the talent. He's impressive. He's been a guy that has done it before. So as long as he stays healthy, he's still in the prime of his career. So I expect this guy to continue to flourish this year and continue to be successful in the future. Absolutely a stud player. And in my opinion, he probably could have better stats, but he's been double teamed so much. A lot of the other D linemen on the team have really stepped up on this winning streak for the Vikings as well. So once again, just a great player. And at this point in the season, I mean, double-digit sacks is almost a given as long as he's barring injury. Third on the list, which is kind of interesting because it's another player that hasn't been playing in a lot of great game scripts for defensive ends. They're not getting the opportunity to pin their ears back as often. But this guy is a stud. Trade deadline, people wanted him. They were offering a lot for him, and this team said, no, we're terrible at picking quarterbacks, but we know this DN needs to stay on our team, and that is Brian Burns of the Carolina Panthers. 7 sacks for this guy as well, 24 solo tackles, 21 assisted tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense, and 10 hurries. A stout defender, gets tackles, in on tackles all the time. Hasn't had very many bust games. He had 1 significant bust game this year, but he's just a consistent player that, again, is really starting about the same age as Max Crosby, really starting to get into the groove. And these guys are guys I expect to see at the top of the list going forward in their careers. Now we go to a team that actually has won some games. They're, not as many as they probably thought they were, but when your quarterback gets injured the second week of the season and is out for the year, you don't know how much you're going to get. But they have a very good backup quarterback. And I'm talking about the San Francisco 49ers, and of course, I'm talking about Nick Bosa. 9 sacks on the season, 22 tackles solo, 4 tackles assisted, 11 tackles for loss, and 7 hurries. Out of the top 5, he's got the most sacks out of anybody. He has had his bye week, which helps as well. But he gets to the quarterback. He's not getting the tackles as some of the other guys at the top of the list have gotten, but he just knows how to pin his ears back and get there. He's got a high number of hurries and then 9 sacks. I don't need to speak a lot about a star player like this. We all know that he should be up there, and it's expected. Dexter Lawrence of the Dallas Cowboys rounds out the top 5. Now, he's only got 5 sacks, but he's got 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 29 solo tackles, 12 assisted, 7 tackles for loss, 5 hurries, and a touchdown. Obviously, the touchdown boosts him up some points. This guy just does it. He just gets it done. He's I don't expect him to probably finish the season in the top 5, but he's a guy you can count on week in and week out. He's not going to goose you. He's going to get some points. And that Dallas defense, again, this year has just been so dominant. We have to just see if they continue to be as dominant as they have been, which I expect. I don't expect any real fall off as far as the defense is concerned. Hopefully Dak can get them some leads to play with to give him better game scripts. Notable people that are not on this list. Most notably probably is Myles Garrett. Still inside the top 10, but just doesn't have the stats. He has missed some time this year after the car accident. But really, he could skyrocket up here with Deshaun Watson coming back if that offense gets a little bit more firepower behind him and actually starts playing a little bit better. But again, part of him not having the game scripts isn't just not winning games, but it's also their offenses is predicated on the run, which takes up a lot of time. They'll have these long, 10-minute drives, and that doesn't allow him the opportunity to get onto the field as much. Hasn't hurt him in the past, and I expect him to continue to do well. But, I mean, it is what it is at this point. He's not been one of the top 5 guys. I expect him to stay inside the top 10 and probably be able to get in there by the end of the year. But at this point in time, it's worth noting that he is missing. Moving on to D tackles. Number 1 right now is a guy that has just been crazy on fire the last few games. Ironically, he's in a contract year, or unironically, but it's Javon Hargrove for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got 7 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 25 solo tackles, 14 assisted tackles, 6 tackles for loss, a pass down, 2 hurries, and a partridge in a pear tree. Guy's doing it all out there. That D-line is stout. It is a rotation that is just dominating. But Javon has came on when they've had some injuries on that D-line because he's gotten a little bit more playing time. That being said, just today, the Eagles signed Ndamukong Suh. Is Ndamukong Suh who he used to be? No. But in rotational pass rushing capability, I think he can still get it done. So I'm curious to see how much this is going to impact Hargrove moving forward. Only time will tell. I doubt he finishes as the top D tackle in the league. But at this point in time, you got to take notice. I will be concerned, though, dynasty-wise, is that if he goes somewhere else following the money, I doubt that he'll be able to replicate the stats that he's been getting this year on a different team. Now, number 2 on this list is a guy on a team that has just absolutely been a surprise team that has not done well, which means that he's been on the field a heck of a lot. They went out after trading their quarterback that they traded for a year before and then traded for a new quarterback, only to say he was injured / bench him for a quarterback that looked like he was completely lost. I am, of course, talking about the Indianapolis Colts. And so the D tackle that I'm talking about is obviously Grover Stewart. What is that not the D tackle that you were thinking would be the second highest scoring D tackle in the league? I mean, Grover's got 3 sacks, 37 solo tackles, 15 assisted tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2 pass defense, 5 hurries. Pretty good stats, solid across the board, really. But no, it's not DeForest Buckner. It's Grover Stewart coming in at number 2. Is it sustainable? Well, he's basing his scoring on tackles more so than sacks, although 3 sacks for a D tackle is nothing to shy away from. I don't know how to take it with Jeff Saturday taking over. How is that going to impact the defensive aspect, the offensive aspect actually staying on the field a little bit more? I mean, they seem to play all right against the Raiders, but everybody's looked great against the Raiders this year. So I'm not 100% sold on him, but it's worth taking note that he's absolutely getting it done. Like I said, he hasn't had some big flash plays that are making him rise up the ranks. Sure, 3 sacks, but it's the almost 40 solo tackles that's really getting his point total up there. And then moving on to number 3 is DeForest Buckner. Okay? So Grover Stewart's at 2, DeForest Buckner at 3 with the Colts. Part of this is just they've been on the field so gosh darn much that you have to get points. Now, Buckner has 5.5 sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 22 solo tackles, 21 assisted, 5 tackles for loss, 2 pass defense, and 5 hurries as well. So really, he's got less tackles, more sacks. But if you take the name away from these guys, it'd be hard to tell you if you'd be able to pick out the right one to go with them. Grover Stewart's a no-name guy that if you're looking for some help on the D-line aspect, specifically if you have D tackles that you have to play, look to trade for him before the trade deadline. They probably get him as a throw-in to some part of other trade that you have, if he's even rostered. A lot of people pick up defensive players, know that they have a big name, but never actually look back on the waiver wire to see if the guys that have the big name are actually performing like the big names intended. But DeForest Buckner is a big name. He's a guy that's just gets it done year in and year out. It didn't matter that he moved from the 49ers to the Colts. He's still been an absolute stalwart in the middle. He's just got some assistance with Grover Stewart now. But Buckner, like I said, number 3 on the list. Now coming in at number 4 on the list is a guy that doesn't know what to do being this far down it. Aaron Donald, 5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 21 solo tackles, 21 assisted tackles, 8 of those for loss, 2 pass defenses, and 2 hurries. It's just the sack numbers and the tackle numbers are significantly down for Darnold. That whole Super Bowl hangover for the Rams has been just brutal. I mean, they're almost out of the playoff picture entirely at this point. Aaron Donald came back saying that he wasn't going to retire to come back for this year. That's what concerns me, I think, the most, is that he's not having his dominant year. So at the end of this year, will he just decide to hang him up? I don't know. But there's definitely a drop-off in play from Aaron Donald this year. And if you still have him on your team, I'd be looking to move him on namesake value right now, because I am concerned about his future as far as whether he'll even decide to continue to play. He's got his ring. He got his money. He was already talking about retirement. Might be worth it to try to get what you can out of a fading superstar. Number 5 on the list, Quinnen Williams of the New York Jets. That team in general, the Jets, have been playing really good football. Quinnen Williams been playing great football. 7 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. 19 solo tackles, 14 assisted tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 pass defense, 1 hurry, and a blocked field goal. He's doing it all, guys. He's the middle of that defense. He's got him and C.J. Mosley and Sauce Gardner that have just came to play this year. I mean, it's just been really impressive. And you love to see it. You love to see a guy in the middle of that defense just take the ownership. 7 sacks by week 10. It's awesome to see. Is it Aaron Donald prime numbers? No, but that guy's a freak of nature. Anybody be happy with a D tackle to get you 7 to 10 sacks a year. Absolutely. So that takes us to the linebackers. The number 1 linebacker, guy that just has been getting it done. I thought with the offense playing a little bit better this year, maybe it wouldn't repeat. But Jordan Brooks of the Seahawks, God, that guy just tackles anything that moves. 75 solo tackles, 29 assisted in 10 weeks. He's over that 100 plateau. He's got a tackle for loss, a forced fumble, fumble recovery. He's knocking the ball down to a tune of 3 pass defenses and 2 hurries as well. He is just a really, really good linebacker. And he's doing it for that Seahawks defense. And I'll be honest, I still remember when they drafted him, and I, along with a lot of other people, were like, really? That high? Yeah, that high. He's that good. And without Bobby Wagner there, he is 100% taking the ownership of this defense to heart. Number 2 on the list, it sounds like I'm talking about last year. This one is a little bit of a surprise because he did move teams. He did go to a different scheme, but he's still tackling everything that moves as well. And that's Foyesade Alokin of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 68 solo tackles, 27 assisted, a sack, 2 fumble recoveries, and a pass defense. Now, we do this thing 4 weeks ago, and I'm talking about Devin Lloyd rather than Foyesade Alokin. Lloyd's kind of hit a little bit of a rookie wall. He's really slowed down this year to the point where Chad Muma has actually started taking some snaps from Lloyd. I think Lloyd will be fine long term. I think it's just natural to have that regression your rookie year when you're playing defense and it's an exhausting sport. You're not ready for it. You don't understand the demand it is compared to college. But Foyesade Alokin has just been a stalwart on that defense. He hasn't been the guy that's just been blowing up the stats, but he's just been consistent. Takes care of business and gets you points every week. And then you look at the end of the year, maybe he was never actually a top 5 scorer per week, but he ends up in the top 5 because he's available and he's consistent. And that's what you're getting with him. Like I said, he's just absolutely tackling everything that moves. Just barely behind Jordan Brooks when it comes to tackles. Number 3 on the list, who I think honestly has been the best linebacker in the NFL this year. Fantasy-wise, he's, moved around teams and that kind of thing. He got traded, and we're talking about Roquan Smith, formerly of the Bears, now on the Ravens, still trying to get acquainted with his new defensive teammates, understanding the new scheme. But he's got 54 tackles, 34 assisted, 2.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 4 tackles for loss, 3 pass defense, and 2 hurries. All over the field, does it all, rushes the passer, intercepts the ball, plays coverage, tackles everybody. He's going to take a little bit to get into the swing of it with the Ravens. But this guy is just he's just a stud. I've loved him since he was in college. I've loved him since he's been in the NFL. I honestly feel bad for the Bears, for their fans when they traded him. You have a guy like this, you hope that you can hold on to him. I mean, they've got the history of the middle linebackers there with the Chicago Bears. He was just another guy in a long line of Hall of Famers that I was hoping to see be there for his entire career. But the NFL is different now. He wanted money. The Bears didn't want to give it. Is what it is. Curious to see if he'll still be a Baltimore Raven come next year. Because they still got to sign some quarterback, I think, that probably is going to want a little bit of money. So we'll see how that all pans out. 4th on the list is another Colts player. Normally we'd be talking about Shaq Leonard at this point, but man, that guy just went under the knife again for another back surgery. Hope you traded him like I told you to before the season started. But if not, maybe hold out some hope. But it's no joke, man. I hope he gets better fast, and hopefully he's gotten his money, so hopefully he doesn't just completely destroy his body just to play in the NFL. So get better, Shaq. But it's Zaire Franklin that takes the 4th spot on the linebacker list. 64 solo tackles, 33 assisted, half sack, 8 tackles for loss, and 3 pass defense. Guy doesn't come off the field. He's played 100% of the snaps in pretty much every game this year. He just gets it done. And once again, that defense has been on the field so much, it's another thing to really look at. Will his points deteriorate in the second half of the season with a change in scheme with Jeff Saturday there? Only time will tell, but at this point, I don't expect Saturday to mess with the defense very much. It has been working very, very well, even in their losses. So expect more of the same from Franklin. And finally, number 5 on the list is a linebacker that was no longer needed on his former team. Signed a deal because a team lost their stud middle linebacker in Foyesade Alokin. And it's Rashaan Evans for the Atlanta Falcons. This dude's got 52 solo tackles and 45 assisted tackles. We're going to stop right here just for a public service announcement. Pay attention to teams that have very high assisted tackle rates. That means that they have very, very generous stat keepers for those teams. It used to be the Washington, well, it's Commanders now, but back then it was the Washington Redskins with London Fletcher. He got so many assisted tackles, it was almost unfair. But you go look at the Falcons players, and the assisted tackles are very, very high, which means you're getting some generous fantasy points when you have Falcons defensive players. But anyway, 52 solo, 45 assisted, a sack, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 5 tackles for loss, and 4 pass defense. He's just been a solid linebacker. Nothing really flashy about his game, but he's just getting to the ball carrier. He's getting the tackles. He's getting the assisted tackles. Maybe that's a little bit of it. But week in and week out, you can really kind of count on this guy to do well. They moved Deion Jones to the Cleveland Browns. They got Mykal Walker, who's been having a really good season as well. When they, I think, when they had some injuries, including Evans earlier this year, they had Troy Anderson, who is a personal favorite of mine, come in, and he was able to get a whole lot of tackles. So the scheme is very, very comfortable for the linebackers. So as long as he stays healthy, he's going to get his points. So that takes us to the cornerbacks. Number 1 on the list, Ladarius Sneed of the Kansas City Chiefs. 46 solo tackles, 18 assisted, 3.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 4 pass defense. No interceptions, but he leads the cornerbacks in stats. They use him very creatively. He gets the tackles. He gets the sacks. Plays that slot role so well that he's making consistent points week in and week out without having to intercept the ball. Just a solid play this year. And that's, to me, it was not that long ago that having a nickel corner as you're starting in fantasy was just an absolute death sentence because he wouldn't be on the field as much. Now defenses play nickel almost as their primary defense. They'll keep 3 cornerbacks on the field just because the offense has changed. So it's not as scary anymore, and you get a guy that's closer to the ball for rushing downs. Typically, what happens there? If they're heavy to one side, the nickel corner's on that side. Then if they're heavy on that side, they typically run to that side, which means the nickel corner is there. Everybody else gets blocked, and it's one-on-one with the nickel corner, and he's the one that gets the tackles, which is what's going on here. Moving on to number 2, we have a rookie. Yeah, I know where you're thinking. It's not Sauce Gardner. It's not Stingley. It's Tariq Woolen, the Seattle Seahawks. What the heck is going on with him, you say? 28 solo tackles, 6 assists. Okay. 2 fumble recoveries. Okay. 5 interceptions as a rookie. 1 touchdown. 9 pass defense. And a safety. Dude's getting it done. Playmaker. Once again, another Seahawk corner drafted that looks like he's the real deal. He's getting thrown out a lot, just like other rookies are too, but he's making them pay. Guy came out of nowhere, in my opinion. I didn't really expect this out of him. 5 interceptions. Holy cow. Probably picked up in your leagues, but dynasty-wise, you probably got 1-2 more years out of a corner like this before the quarterbacks stop looking his way if he's going to make him pay to the tune of 5 picks in 10 games. I'd start thinking about throwing it somewhere else too. Next on the list is Jalen Ramsey for the Rams. Now, he was in the top 5 last year too, and I was kind of surprised because, he's a stud player. But what's actually going on is he's starting to fall off to an extent. Last year, not as much because he had a lot of big plays. A lot of tackles too, though. But Jalen Ramsey's got 34 solo tackles, 7 assisted. He does have 2 sacks, a pick, 2 forced fumbles, and 9 passes defended. But he's starting to lose a step. That whole defense has been struggling this year. They've been on the field more because the offense hasn't exactly been blowing the doors off people either. Their O-line is just in shambles. But Ramsey will probably be good this year. He'll probably be good next year because people aren't scared of him anymore. They can throw at him. He'll still make you pay from time to time. He'll still knock the balls down. Like I said, 9 pass defense. But he's not the Jalen Ramsey that he used to be. Father Time catches up with all of us. That's just what we're seeing with Jalen at this point in time. Speaking of Father Time, number 4 on the list, Patrick Peterson. 100-year-old cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings. Just kidding. That's a little mean to Patrick Peterson. He is a great corner, has been. But he's got 29 solo tackles, 5 assists, 3 interceptions, 2 of which came last game. So he jumped up into this list based on last game, essentially. 12 passes defended and a blocked punt. Stats are stats. I mean, would he be in the top 5 if we did this list last week? No, he would not be. And that's worth noting. But he's still getting a decent amount of tackles. The passes defense is a good number. Long-term longevity, I mean, as long as the Vikings are winning, they're throwing, and Patrick Peterson's in coverage, so kind of a smoke him if you got him situation. Keep him on the field until he proves otherwise. And finally, the number 5 spot. Once again, a rookie. Now it is Sauce Gardner for the Jets. 31 solo tackles, 13 assisted, getting thrown at because he's a rookie. 2 interceptions, 12 pass defense. Let alone that he's in the top 5 because he is getting thrown at, he is getting tested. But in just real life football, this guy is playing lights out. You'll love to see it. A guy that I felt was the best corner in this year's draft that fell a little bit, not much, right? But man, he is the real deal. He is shutting down everybody. Curious to see in a couple weeks when the Dolphins have a healthy quarterback what he does against that greatest show on turf. But we'll see how it all shakes out. But right now, I mean, he's proven it. They said you'll probably have this year, maybe next year of a Sauce Gardner, and then he's gonna be to the point where he's just a shutdown corner, and for fantasy, he's not relevant anymore. So remember that. Now, what you see on this list is old guys and young guys. You don't really see many guys that are in the middle as far as age goes because it's just that's when they're in their prime, right? When they're in their prime, quarterbacks tend to stay away from them. You got people that don't get trusted, which are the rookies. They're going to go after them, and they're just going to see what they can do. And then once they earn the respect, then they actually stay away until they get older, and then all of a sudden, here they come back, you know? But that's just kind of how it is. I mean, the only one that's somewhat in the middle range is L'Jarius Sneed, and he plays slot corner, so it's a little bit different role because he's actually coming up after and getting his tackles on rushing downs, not because somebody's passing towards him. So that's, once again, we talked about it on the offseason. It's something to look at and something to understand. There's a science and an art to who you have on your team, when you should trade for people, when you should trade people away, because they're going to have this kind of situation. And cornerbacks by far are the most unique. They're just a little ebb and flow of age to respect, and it's hard to tell, but here we are. That it is what it is. Finally, we'll move on to safeties. Number 1 on the list, the guy that's just been doing it, Derwin James. He's got 50 solo tackles, 34 assisted tackles. Man, that's like linebacker numbers. Literally, the 5th best linebacker, Rashaan Evans, has 52 solo and 45 assisted. So Derwin James is not that far behind. He's also got 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and 3 pass defense. Consistent play, top guy, no interceptions. It's all about tackles when it comes to the safeties. Second on the list, Eddie Jackson for the Bears. Now, he's got 52 solo tackles, 18 assisted, but 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 4 pass defense. He's got the interception. Derwin's got the sacks. Both of them were having heck of good seasons. You look at number 3 on the list, and you got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Traded at the beginning of the season, wanted a new contract, goes to the Eagles. Eagles say, let's put you at safety. All right, what are you going to do there? 43 solo tackles, 5 assisted, a sack, and 6 interceptions for that Eagles defense. That Eagles defense has been so stellar this year. That secondary has been lights out. And with the Eagles been getting off to a hot start in pretty much every game this year, these guys are just sitting back waiting to pick the ball off. And nobody's doing it better than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. As long as he stays with the Eagles, I expect him to continue to have success. 6 interceptions is a little bit of a stretch. Obviously, that's a high regression, so he'll probably not have that going into future years. But the tackle numbers are solid. I'd like to see some more assisted. And they use him, they're blitzing him a little bit because he does have a sack, but still a solid player. Maybe he won't finish as a top 5 if the INTs are kind of prop him up a little bit, but he's still a great player. Number 4 on the list was a little bit of a surprise coming into the season. I had heard some news, some inklings on him, wanted to kind of wait and see. Turns out you should have just pulled the trigger when you get a little bit of that gut feeling. This is Talanoa Hufanga, the 49ers safety. Coming in, got the job this year, has 36 solo tackles, 14 assists, a sack, 4 interceptions, a touchdown, and 7 passes defended. This guy was shot out of a cannon at the beginning of the season. He slowed his pace a little bit, but he's still a consistent player that has 50 total tackles so far this year. He's got, like I said, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. He's knocking the ball away. He's all over the field. He looks like a young Troy Polamalu. Not as athletic as him, but he is just like, every time you expect to see him in on a play. That's how it feels when you watch this kid play. It's a lot of fun. He gets after it. If you haven't watched a 49ers game, turn one on and just keep an eye on him. It's a lot of fun to watch him play. Once again, he's going to benefit from positive game strips where they're winning the game. Games that they've won, he's done well. Games that they've lost, he's been okay. So you got to kind of understand and take the good with the bad. And unfortunately, he doesn't have Russell Westbrook in his division anymore to pick off a couple times. But, such is such. Everybody in the AFC West is happy for interceptions there. The final player we're going to talk about tonight is on one of the best defenses in the league, the Cowboys. We're talking about Donovan Wilson, safety. 49 solo tackles, 17 assisted, 3 sacks, playing him up tight in their defense, a forced fumble, an interception, and 2 pass defense. That Cowboys defense is fun to watch. It's very creative. They move a lot of guys around. And he's just another cog in that team. I mean, he's getting a lot of tackles. He's getting to the backfield as well. Once again, another fun player to guy. This is the kind of guy I do expect to stay in the top 5 because he's getting enough opportunities to make the big plays, but he's also very, very solid in tackles. I mean, he's 3rd out of the top 5 in solo tackles and 3rd in assisted tackles, only by 1 to Eddie Jackson. But he's got the sacks and he's got an interception. He's still making big plays. I expect just to see more good things out of that kid going forward. So there we are. Those are where we're at with the top 5 guys so far through the season. Albeit not ones that I expected in every position. There are some studs. It does feel like defensive end studs are a little bit surprisingly down. It does feel like linebackers are a little bit, odd after the top ones. I mean, you got T.J. Watt, who, was out for up until this last week, so he would have most likely been on the list somewhere. You got Joey Bosa, who's been out pretty much all year with a groin injury / surgery. Cornerback-wise, Trevin Diggs is doing well, but he's just not top 5 at this point in time. And then safety-wise, Minkah had an emergency appendectomy. I am surprised, though, because he was so dominant early. He's really faded since then. And you got some up-and-comers that are right up there. A Javon Holland, who is spike games, up and down, up and down. You also have just some guys that, Harrison Smith is just kind of out of it at this point in time. He's just not getting the tackles that he was previously in his career. But I'm excited to see how the rest of the season plays out. I think that some of these guys you look at and you're like, I don't know if that's going to pan out long term, like a Grover Stewart. Maybe sell high on him or buy extremely low, and hopefully you get a guy that nobody even knows about that is just having one of those years. It's tough to tell, but that's what's fun about it. Personally, I'm on the let's buy Grover Stewart at a really low discounted rate and just see what we get with him. Because I doubt you're really going to be able to sell high on a guy that without name value on defense. People are very, very focused on name value when it comes to defense. But with that being said, we'll see you guys next week. And as always, remember that defense wins fantasy.